he can't continue to get away with stepping into the ring against strikers for the UFC, basketball players, unknown boxers that punch like pillows.
I'm not underestimating Paul, but he don't have a long experience of boxing.
As long as he continues to fight MMA guys and YouTubers, he's gonna continue to look good and shine. But once he fights a real fighter that can really fight, it's not gonna be that good.
Yeah, I'm getting some new scans here in a couple of days of the jaw. We'll see what my doctors say. Can I even fight again? That is definitely in the realm and possibilities of things. It does feel...
Okay, so nobody is supposed to be talking about this right now, but allegedly something is happening behind the scenes of Jake Paul's entire boxing career that the mainstream media keeps conveniently glossing over. And
Arman, shout out to Arman, but he doesn't want me to fight again.
Wow, so that's on the table. Your fighting future is somewhat in doubt.
Yeah. No, most definitely. I think it just depends on how the bone heals. And then also there's a tooth missing here. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to get an implanted tooth of some sort. I don't know how much time that's gonna add to things. We just have to see.
I understand that we may not know fighters, but I'm saying you're fighting guys who are clearly not.
I am not about to let that slide, because the deeper you dig into this story, the more it starts to feel less like a sports controversy and more like the most elaborate brand-building operation in the history of combat sports. And before you even think about clicking away...
As of right now, for what he's doing, it's good for what he's doing. But once he fights a real fighter, it's gonna be bad. He fights a real fighter that can really fight, it's not gonna be that good.
Does he have the ability, with what you've seen, to continue to mold himself into somebody who can actually? He told me before his goal is to fight Canelo, so that's where his mindset's at.
It get fucked up by Canelo. Oh, I'm sorry, it's TMT.
You can curse.
I apologize, but
no apologize.
There's no way he get demolished. But for what he's doing, as long as they keep getting YouTubers and keep putting them in there with MMA guys, that's kind of over the hill, he's gonna continue to shine. So I'm proud of him. I'm not really upset. Even it was so crazy. I remember just a while back, his brother was like, "Oh, I didn't."
Just know that the final twist in this video is going to completely reframe everything you thought you knew about Jake Paul, boxing, and why certain very powerful people in this industry keep talking about him, even when they claim they don't care. Because here's what nobody is connecting: Stephen A. Smith, Floyd Mayweather, Dana White, Eddie Hearn.
It's all the same shit. And listen, the kid's doing his thing, but he lies about all this stuff. These media guys, the websites that cover it, and Jake Paul himself is trying to stay relevant and trying to get attention.
But he is doing a good job. He is doing a good job. He's getting paid. He is getting
Jake Paul's doing his thing. He's out there. He went out and lied and said that I said I would sign Mike Perry if he beat him. I've been trying to assassinate him. You haven't heard me say shit about Jake Paul. And the only time I ever talk about Jake Paul is if I'm asked about him. He just brought him up. I wouldn't have brought him up, right? And he went out and lied and said that I said all this shit. It's the furthest thing from the truth. Do you think, with all the shit that I got going on and what we're doing, you think I'm thinking about Jake Paul?
No.
What Jake Paul and those guys do is completely different. And again, the kid's doing his thing. I'm not on him. And listen, if smaller, older guys want to fight him, then
Manny Pacquiao, Anthony Joshua, Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia, Tommy Fury, and Oscar De La Hoya have all publicly come for Jake Paul within what feels like the same news cycle. And fans online are asking, why is every legend in boxing suddenly obsessed with a YouTuber? Unless something much bigger is allegedly going on. So let's start at the beginning, or rather let's start at the jaw, because reports suggest that Jake Paul is allegedly dealing with some serious medical issues involving his jawbone, dental implants, a lost tooth,
can beat a world champion and become world champion. But I will say he's improving a lot. He's dedicated to the sport. I don't know how good he is because he hasn't really faced a real fight. I don't believe you will ever get close to being a world-class fighter.
I believe that I would beat anybody on your roster that's under 10 fights. Anyone.
We can do that.
Any one of your fighters that has under 10 fights. Easy.
Okay.
So
a cruiserweight?
Literally any weight.
Okay. So
any weight.
Any weight.
Any weight. I will beat anybody on your roster.
I've got about 400 of them.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Hall of Fame went to a YouTuber.
You said what?
You went to working with a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
So now you're working with a YouTuber, right?
I mean,
you're forgetting to realize that I will be the first boxer and promoter ever in the Hall of Fame for multiple reasons, like at the youngest age. So you're actually a dumbass.
He for sure paid him to ask that question. For sure. He looked like he...
Plates, screws, and a recovery timeline that doctors are apparently monitoring very carefully. And Jake himself has gone on record saying that retirement is, and I quote, definitely in the realm of possibilities, which, wait, hold on breaking. Jake Paul allegedly just hinted at retirement, and the entire boxing world allegedly doesn't know whether to panic or celebrate.
For instance, like Jake Paul.
No, I will not.
You don't want to do it?
I will not. I want to fight the best to add into my legacy. He's already a disadvantage for him to fight in boxing.
Because he just got in started?
Yes.
Okay, you don't think he'll ever reach that professional level?
It's up to him. Maybe he will continue his career as a boxer, but boxing is not that easy to fight and
yeah, but if he called you out, you wouldn't be open to it?
I'm sorry?
Would you be open to the fight?
This is where it gets interesting because Anthony Joshua, who fought Jake Paul recently, is out here claiming that he is the one who broke Jake's jaw, which, if true, would mean that a legitimate elite heavyweight reached through all of Jake's allegedly curated matchmaking and actually landed something that may have changed the course of his entire career. And suddenly Dana White's comments about Jake reportedly building his image through carefully controlled matchups against older and smaller opponents start to feel less like trash talk and more like a potential expose hiding in plain sight.
He knows how to spin a narrative really well. If you watch how he handles anything that negative happens to him, him and Logan are good at that. They're definitely good at just going right after it.
Is this an exhibition or it's a pro fight?
It's a professional fight.
Okay.
Yeah, 8 rounds, 10-ounce gloves. It's a legit fight.
No, honestly, I think the only way he's gonna win if God really wants him to win.
No, that's bro.
I don't know any other way,
A gunner.
bro. It's not gonna happen, bro. Cause the thing is, you've never fought a real heavyweight where they're really trying to hurt you. He's never even got hit yet, in a real fight. He's never taken a.
Jake Paul's big. So Jake Paul's trying to learn the game of boxing. He's dedicating himself. He's got the right trainers. He's got the good sparring partners. He's trying. This man here, he's just come off a singing tour, and now he wants to be in the ring, and now he wants to be a boxer, and then 1 minute he's going to be a podcast person.
Because fans are now going back and re-examining every single fight on Jake's record and asking whether the opponent selection was less about challenge and more about optics. And allegedly, the pattern is very hard to ignore once you see it. MMA fighters, fellow YouTubers, a 50-something legend with allegedly compromised reflexes, and look, we're not saying anything, we're just saying that Eddie Hearn, one of the most powerful promoters on the planet, looked directly into a camera and said, "There is absolutely no way Jake Paul becomes a real world champion, not because he lacks dedication."
To cruiserweight. Hopefully, everything turns out great. When he fights Tyson, who knows? But Jake Paul, hey, if you want to fight Zurdo right now, let's do it. And
I broke Jake's jaw.
His teeth look a bit removed as well.
Yeah, his teeth have come out of place. But credit to him, he done well, but I told him what was going to happen.
Hearn actually praised his work ethic, but because allegedly the level of competition Jake has faced so far simply does not prepare anyone for what elite professional boxing actually demands. And then Ryan Garcia slides into this conversation like a wrecking ball, claiming that Jake has allegedly never taken a real punch from a truly dangerous heavyweight, which, and this is where it gets worse, connects directly back to the jaw situation. Because if the Joshua fight allegedly did that level of damage, what happens when Jake steps into the ring with someone who has been throwing elite-level combinations since childhood? And that is exactly the question Floyd Mayweather is reportedly asking. Because Floyd, who allegedly knows a thing or two about opponent selection himself,
the screws and plates were coming loose because apparently I didn't rest for the past 2 months. What? This could be one of two things, because the next clip that we see...
I'm putting that for you. All that chrome in there, that's the hinge in the new teeth. Runs on tiny servos, super smooth. I can talk.
is clearly AI bullshit.
Is this the end of influencer boxing? Does Jake continue? You know, he's got I guess, looks like a seemingly bad injury. Both sides of his jaw broken. Even if he intends to box, it's going to take a while. I had heard that Jake Paul and Andrew Tate was going to be rumored to be made eventually or soon. Well, that sort of throws that out the window. Tate got beat the next day. Not that you couldn't make Tate and Jake Paul if they both lost, because you could kind of look at it as a dust-off fight for both of them and make the fight against one another. Because of Jake's injury, you have this issue now where he's got to recover. And honestly, coming from broken jaw, two sides of broken jaw is even worse, because to test it out, it's, you're not just chewing food or talking. Your jaw has to heal enough to take impact, to spar, to be able to actually box, and not just everyday life's usage of your jaw. I'm thinking, I personally wasn't crazy about Jake fighting anyway. It didn't really do nothing for me. And I guess I had said even before this fight, I just did not see him improving anymore. Like he had kind of stabilized where his boxing was going to wind up. He was not getting better anymore. There was a little bit of time where he was getting better, but he was no longer improving. And honestly, for a guy with no amateur experience and just went right into the pros, the level of opposition was also something that I had no problem with prior to the Joshua fight. The Joshua fight was always going to be a huge, huge step up. You almost thought like it was a joke, like where there's got to be something that they're not telling me. He's going to fight Joshua. There's got to be something they're not saying. And a lot of people thought, it's not going to be real and so on and so forth. I tell people that Jake's fights are real. He usually just stacks the deck, but they're real. This time it was hard to deck stack because you got Anthony Joshua in there with you. So he put in a little bit of stipulations like that Joshua couldn't be over 245 pounds, which isn't a crazy stipulation, honestly. Joshua will make that weight.
Looked at Jake's resume and said a fight with Canelo Alvarez would end, and I'm paraphrasing here very badly for Jake, which is either a devastating reality check or the most ironic statement in sports history, depending on how you feel about Floyd's own career choices. And speaking of irony, breaking update. Gervonta Davis, Floyd's own protege, allegedly had a heated public exchange with Jake Paul, where Jake reportedly responded to dismissal by bragging about becoming a Hall of Fame boxer and promoter. And fans online are saying this single moment might be the most revealing thing Jake has ever accidentally said, because it suggests allegedly that Jake Paul might understand something about his...
Paul is in certain question after the Anthony Joshua fight. Meet with me is Mod, right? There are serious medical concerns that could prevent Jake Paul from returning to the game, not as a promoter.
Yeah, I'm getting some new scans here in a couple of days of the jaw. We'll see what my doctors say. Can I even fight again? That is definitely in the realm and possibilities of things. It does feel a lot better, but I definitely need to get cleared.
Wow, so that's on the table. Your fighting future is somewhat in doubt.
Yeah.
Jake Paul is saying, based on the scans and whatever shows up and appears on those scans, that could be a situation where he doesn't come back to the sport of boxing. Now, I want y'all to pay attention, because this part, he says his doctor recommends or doesn't want him to actually fight.
Come up, but I'm not done. I can just feel it in my spirit, my soul, my heart that I have more fights left and unfinished business in my mind.
Okay. So he's saying he's not done in his heart, but listen to what his doctor said. Play the clip.
And injuries are a part of any sport. I think potentially this could be a good outcome. You could tear an ACL and be out and keep on tearing it again. So it's just a part of any sport, and I definitely don't feel like I'm done and want to keep on fighting.
Is there anyone in your life, whether it's a doctor, family member, who's trying to say maybe enough is enough?
Yeah, definitely. My doctor, Arman, shout out to Arman, but he doesn't want me to fight again.
Wow. That's on Arman's
own legacy that his critics are completely missing. And this is the twist nobody saw coming. What if Jake Paul was never actually trying to become the next Muhammad Ali? What if the entire boxing career was always allegedly a Trojan horse for the promotion business? Because most valuable promotions, Jake's company, is reportedly being praised by fighters, analysts, and industry insiders for treating athletes well and paying them fairly, which in a sport historically riddled with promotional controversy and fighters allegedly getting underpaid and undervalued, is actually a significant and somewhat shocking development that the people dragging Jake on social media are conveniently not talking about. And now suddenly Manny Pacquiao's comments about only wanting to fight elite competitors to protect his legacy start to feel less like a dig at Jake and more like an accidental compliment, because Pacquiao is essentially confirming that Jake Paul has gotten close enough to the conversation that a living boxing legend felt the need to publicly address and distance himself from the possibility.
I'm not sure how many, plates and screws or whatever, but now you have a setback even from that, right? You now have some issues post your first surgery. Now you're getting a second surgery to revise the issues that you had with the first one. And he says it's because he didn't rest for 2 months. I mean, if we go through and look at his Instagram over the last couple of months here, this is from 1 day ago. He was in Milan, Italy, and this is just champ talk. So he obviously went out to see his girlfriend while she won her gold and silver medals. Now he is lifting her above his head. He's getting on his PJ. He's wearing the same outfit that he wore in this picture with the doctors.
Be able to actually box and not just everyday life's usage of your jaw. Like I said, to just chew and talk. So I don't know. That's why I was thinking, like, is this going to be the end of Jake? Or because even if he comes back as a boxer, it'll probably could take a year, to be honest. Does he focus on his promotional company? I was thinking, the promotional company is probably one thing that I could always ride with. I never had criticism for it. Jake's promotional company, MVP. I think he's doing a lot of good things with his fighters, taking care of them, which is personally what I like. If fighters earn their money, and they should be compensated for it the right way, and a lot of promoters don't do that. But Jake has signed a lot of good fighters and compensates them very well.
You have to ask yourself, how many YouTubers have ever made Manny Pacquiao issue a public statement? The answer is allegedly one, and then Tommy Fury, who actually fought Jake and won, is out here saying Jake is still only trying to learn boxing, which fine, fair point. Except Tommy Fury is also a reality television personality whose most famous relative is Tyson Fury. So the line between legitimate fighter and celebrity crossover is allegedly blurrier than anyone in this conversation wants to admit.
So I watched
and the
this.
fact that Oscar De La Hoya is also weighing in tells you everything about how far Jake's gravitational pull has extended into the actual sport, because De La Hoya is a Hall of Fame fighter and promotional titan who has absolutely nothing to gain from publicly engaging with a YouTuber unless that YouTuber has allegedly become too large to ignore. And here's the thread that allegedly connects every single person in this video. Stephen A. Smith, Floyd, Dana, Eddie, Gervonta, Ryan, Tommy, Manny, Oscar, Anthony. Every single one of them talking about Jake Paul is, whether they intended or not, making Jake Paul more famous, more relevant, and more valuable as a media property. And fans are starting to whisper online that maybe, just maybe, some of these callouts are not entirely organic, which we are absolutely not confirming. We are simply reporting what the speculation says, but consider this: if you were building the most attention-efficient sports media empire in history, wouldn't you want every credible voice in the sport on record saying your name? And now here comes the jaw injury again, because allegedly the medical timeline involves multiple surgeries, bone healing monitoring, plates and screws, and a potential year-long absence from the ring. And While most analysts are treating this as the possible end of Jake's fighting career, a small but vocal group of insiders are reportedly suggesting this might be the most perfectly timed pivot in the entertainment history, because if Jake Paul steps back from fighting and steps fully into promotion, he enters that lane not as a failed boxer, but as a retired fighter with name recognition that took decades for traditional promoters to build. And suddenly, everything the opponent selection, the media feuds, the jaw, the retirement hints, the praise for most valuable promotions allegedly starts to look less like a messy celebrity boxing experiment and more like a multi-year calculated strategy that even the people criticizing it have been unknowingly participating in. And so here's your final twist. Here is the thing that is going to keep you up tonight. What if Jake Paul losing that tooth, breaking that jaw, fighting those opponents, absorbing every single bit of criticism from every legend and analyst and rival in this video, what if all of it was allegedly exactly according to plan? And the real question you need to be asking right now is not whether Jake Paul is a legitimate boxer. The real question is whether Jake Paul ever needed to be one to win. Drop your answer in the comments, because I genuinely want to know if you think this entire era of celebrity boxing was the long game all along, or if the jaw injury just broke more than bone, because allegedly the story is far from over